Apex Legends is in its 10th season right now, and with 18 different legends that you can play as, it's safe to say that there's a lot of variety here and they all have different skills. With the recent tweaks and changes, buffs and nerfs that have been going on with Season 10, like it's been absolutely insane, I want to make a more updated tier list looking at you, Rampart, so we can see where all these legends fit into the meta. If you want to see more Apex Legends videos, please do let me know. I would love to make more, but without further ado, let's start with F tier. The honest truth is, no one is in F tier. Neither is anyone in E tier or D tier. So this takes us to the bottom of C. All the legends right now are pretty good. Like, I don't think it's very fair to say that some of them are like F tier. I don't think any of them deserve to be done dirty like that, so we'll start with C tier. And coming in at the bottom of C is Fuse himself. Even with his buff, I just think that, you know, he could just be like slightly better. He's still viable, hence why he's in C. And don't get me wrong, his knuckle cluster is pretty good, although it just feels like it isn't doing quite enough damage for such an offensive legend. But two very big features here that have made Fuse so much better is his ult getting changed to have the scan effect when anyone is in the ring of fire that he can shoot. It really just felt like you were trying to fight against your own ult, and it was just screwing you over way more than it was actually helping you. So it was just kind of one of those things where you didn't really want to use it unless you had a Caustic to throw gas traps in there, and overall it just wasn't very helpful. Oh, and also you can choose to change his passive in a way, so usually he would throw grenades in his little arm cannon thing and it would launch them further, but you don't have to do that now. You can choose to throw them normally. It lets your grenades be a lot more precise, and honestly I'm all for that. So overall I think Fuse is a good legend, but I just think he's the worst out of everyone still. Making our way to the next legend on this list, this is the bamboozler himself, Mirage. He is at the bottom of C tier as well, and I prefer him over Fuse, and this is because a good Mirage player is actually terrifying, and they are scarily efficient when it comes to reviving teammates, doing banner recovery missions, and I just think that Mirage's abilities just essentially force you to be creative, and if you are creative enough to play Mirage, and especially master him, then oh my god, you will be tricking people left, right and center, and it can just really excel you forward in a game of Apex. I've seen some really good Mirage players before, and it's just ridiculous how well they can use his decoys, but you know, I'm on the train with everyone here when I hear people say Mirage needs a buff. Whilst his abilities have been reworked, yeah, I really do think he needs a buff. One of my friends is a Mirage main, and he even said that he thinks Mirage needs a buff, and it would be good if maybe he could like let the decoys open doors if you like send them into a door and things. That kind of stuff would just be really interesting to do, and I think it would just add a whole new layer of depth to Mirage. Either that or just any other buff. He needs something. But when Mirages are played well, I think they can actually make some really good big brain 200 IQ plays. Mirage mains, hold on, be strong, be brave, wait patiently. I am sure you will get that buff soon, but probably not this season. The next legend that I'm going to be ranking is one that I feel is going to be controversial. I feel like a lot of people think this one should be higher, but this is Caustic, and I am putting him in C tier. Compared to his glory days back when he first came out, he's just not really been much of a threat to anyone, especially outdoors. I mean, he's a very situational legend, and that to me, it takes him down quite a lot. Although, admittedly, I'm not saying he's bad. When he is in the right situations, aka bunker, he does very well, and it's genuinely terrifying to go up against a Caustic. He's had a buff where his damage ticks now from the gas, so it'll do like 2-2, then 3-3, then 4-4, and it'll just keep going up, and I actually really like that change. But he's still not really as scary as he used to be, and it just kind of feels as though he doesn't fit in as well as he used to, because he just doesn't have that fear factor anymore. His gas isn't as powerful, even when he's in said situations where he would shine, and don't get me wrong, he definitely can if played right. Most of the time it feels like if I run into a Caustic, Caustic, he's not really gonna do much. So that's why he is C tier. A good legend overall, but just definitely needs some buffs. The next legend on this list is very similar to Caustic, but I feel like they provide a bit more team utility. Say hello to Watson, and she's going to be ranked near the top of C tier. Watson, although she does definitely need a buff with her fences because people just run straight through them, very similar to Caustic's gas. I feel like Watson, the shield regen passive is pretty good, and the trophy system type of ult that she has is really useful as well. Honestly, once a lot of teams know that you're in a building with a team, they will start spamming nades, thermites, arc stars, anything that explodes into that building to try and get you out. And Watson's system there, along with her fences at doors stunning enemies, it just really helps, and that's why Watson players have very high win rates, because once she locks down an area, she's pretty good at doing it. Like I said though, the fences do definitely need some buffs, I think, because, you know, enemies that run through them, the most they feel is an electric shock, and that's about it. It's definitely not life-threatening unless the Watson is watching said fences and then they get stunned, and then she can just spray them down with an R99 or something. Once again, very situational, except for the fact that her ult can be used in a more open fight as well, but obviously it does work best in buildings. I think Watson needs a buff. I have no idea what that buff could be. Maybe make the fences better or something. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below as to how Watson could have a buff. And so she sits comfortably near the top of C tier. So for all you Watson mains out there, I'll say to you what I said to the Mirage mains who are waiting for a buff. Watson mains, be strong, be brave. The next legend is going to be Crypto, and he makes it to the very top of C tier. There's no denying that a good Crypto can be really good for not just the Crypto themselves, but the team that he's on. My biggest issue I have always had with Crypto, even when he first released, was that his drone is just his whole thing, basically, and he's gonna have to be out of fights most of the time because he'll be sat on his drone. And Cryptos really do have to rely on that thing. It's different from a Bloodhound scan because Bloodhounds can scan and fight at the same time. Crypto just has to sit back and use his drone whilst the rest of your team is just getting slaughtered in a fight. Like I said though, I'll repeat it again, a good Crypto works wonders, but I just don't like how his whole kit revolves around his drone. There are other scan legends that are just so much better than Crypto, and I really do think he needs a buff, much like most of the legends in C tier. I mean, they're in C for a reason, right? Next up, we have Rampart, and she has seen a lot of changes lately. She is sitting at the bottom of B tier, and honestly, I think that since her buff in the Rampart takeover event, I think that she is just busted. It's insane, because she went from being a very situational legend to being able to pick up Sheila, her ultimate, and just rushing people with it. And it's good because you get to strafe behind barriers as well, and this thing can break down doors. It's ridiculous. Oh my god, like I'm thinking about it now and just how easy it is to just rack kills up with Sheila. Now granted, it doesn't have many bullets, but it's still very, very good either on your own or with a team. And with this change to the ultimate, I don't think that you're ever really gonna want to use Sheila in stationary mode. I think you're just gonna want to use it without having to attach it and just sit there waiting for an enemy to run past. And it shreds people. It absolutely melts them. It makes a person with red armor against Sheila look like they were just wearing white armor. It's just so crazy. I think she has a really good passive as well, having more ammo in LMGs and being able to reload them faster. That is just great, especially with how good some of the LMGs are in Apex, like the Rampage for example. That combined with Rampart's passive ability just makes it really good to use. Same with the L-Star right now, which is dominating the meta because of how overpowered that gun is. Makes the cooldown on the L-Star just feel like a split second and you're back to spraying people. Rampart's barriers can be a bit annoying though, and I think that's what drag her down. If Rampart got the right rework on her shields that she can put up, then maybe she would go up to the top of B, maybe even A tier. But as of right now, she is just pretty fun to use, and I think she's had a very good rework. And a weird suggestion that I thought of, this could be totally broken, but it sounds like a good rework for her her shields is maybe just, instead of just placing one down, because most of the time people are going to shred through them anyway, the second that you put it down, it would be a good idea to let you choose whether you want to put one down individually or use all of your barriers and make one bigger one that's a little bit more durable. I think that would just be a good little rework. But as of right now, Rampart is B tier. The next legend we have is Bangalore, and she is B tier. B for Bangalore, B for balance, because I'm sure you've heard that Bangalore is the most balanced legend in the game. You've probably heard it from every Apex player ever, and I think everyone says that for a reason. Bangalore is my OG legend, so I've had a lot of time to play around with her. And whilst, yeah, her smoke can be a detriment to the team, and believe me, I have made my friends and other randomers very mad with that in general, so to all of you out there, I'm really sorry about the smoke. It can be used as not only an offensive tool, but a defensive tool as well, because if you and your teammates need to run away from a squad that's attacking, Bangalore can pop a smoke and you can all make a very swift escape. You can also use the smoke to rush, and with Bloodhound scans or Seer scans up in that smoke, oh man, that is going to be good. But also remember, if it's a Bloodhound or a Seer on the other side of that smoke and they're not on your team, that is probably Bangalore's biggest weakness there, because Season 10 is a scan heavy meta. It can also be used for repositions and to get flanks on enemies, so it's pretty versatile, but the problem is you have to make sure that you shoot in the smoke in the right places, because if you're inside and you just hotbox a room with your teammates in it, it could cost them their lives. And you don't want to be that Bangalore player, okay? Don't do what I do. And Bangalore's passive double time, don't even get me started on how good this actually is. I think it is one of the best, if not the best, passive in the whole game. It can set you up for really good repositions, and it'll help you dodge and weave bullets, so you're not getting shredded before you actually even properly engage in a fight. Double time can also allow her to make some really good pushes as well, and for those that don't know, double time lets Bangalore move faster when she's being shot at. And because Bangalore has quite a small hitbox, this makes her really good as well in combination with double time. Not only is a small target hard to hit, but a small fast moving target is even harder. Her ultimate is pretty good as well. It's used more for getting good stuns and area control, I think, but it can deal some meaty damage if enough enemies are there and if they don't escape it quick enough. And the artillery strike is something you don't want to find yourself caught in, because if it hits you, Bangalore is gonna see those damage numbers, she will know where you are, and you'll be stunned and concussed for a while, so be careful. Overall, I think Bangalore is just a very balanced legend. I think her smoke could have maybe just one little tweak, so it's a bit more easy to see through for her, but Bangalore is an easy B tier. She's just balanced, she's not super great, but she's not complete shit either, so I think it's great where she is in this tier list. Perfectly balanced, as all things should be. Moving on to the next legend, this is going to be Lifeline in B tier. I'm sad to be putting Lifeline this low. She is the combat medic, and she has been nerfed so aggressively, it's unreal. And Gibraltar is more of a support class than Lifeline is now, and that is just so sad to see. I think Respawn are having a bit of trouble balancing Lifeline, I don't think they know what to do with her, but I think nerfing her harder than goddamn concrete isn't the way to go about it. Bangalore's got a good passive, you know, her drone lets her revive players while she can defend them or just do something else. This works very well with the backpack, the golden one to be exact, that lets you revive teammates with additional health. She has a good tactical as well with the healing drone. If you stand near it, you'll get some health, and it can heal you to full health, and that's very good. But the problem is, when there's a down teammate and Lifeline goes to revive them, you have to be careful if you're playing Lifeline when you revive teammates, because if you revive them after they've gone down, the enemy is going to target them and just finish them off whilst they're being rezzed. So you do have to box pretty clever when you're a Lifeline. Make sure you're communicating to your down teammate that they need to crawl to to cover, and then you can revive them because they'll just be a target. There used to be a shield that would come up from the drone whilst someone is being revived at the front of them, but now that's gone, and because it was a bit too oppressive sometimes, and now they're too vulnerable. It's in a weird spot right now. I don't really have too much to say about Lifeline, except I think she needs to be buffed a bit more, but because she is the medic and she's really good for support, she's definitely not bad by any means. Her ultimate is okay. They've changed it so that you get more relevant stuff in the care package that she calls down. For example, if the whole team has blue armor, then there will be a purple armor in there somewhere. It's okay, but she probably could do with a better ultimate. So until Lifeline gets a rework or some buffs somewhere, right now she is sat in B tier. Taking up another spot on this tier list is going to be Loba, and she's going to be at the top of B tier. I think Loba went from a D tier legend to like a B tier legend. She has had some growth, okay? She has come a long way, and she didn't even need that many changes. Her bracelet tactical ability is so damn good now that it speeds up the animation, because when you would used to throw it and you would just slowly put it back onto your wrist, it was so frustrating, because even if you made a good flanking reposition, the enemy would turn round as you're putting the bracelet back on, and they'd just demolish you and send you back to the lobby, and it would be a really sad time. Big F for all the Lobas that had really good plays ruined by one animation. Really meant my heart does go out to you. But now I don't really think that's an issue. She has a pretty good passive as well, because she's a looting legend, so she can see gold and purple attachments and body shields through walls and through supply bins, which is pretty useful because if there's a certain loadout that you're looking for and certain attachments, you'll be able to find them very easily. And that same thing applies with her ultimate, which is the black market, allowing her to take pretty much whatever weapon she wants. The ammo buff is really good. I enjoy that you can take as much ammo as you want, and it makes looting very quick. Although you can only take 2 things, it's good because you can just see what's in the area anyway of the black market, so take 2 things but then go search around for the rest. It's not a very big vicinity anyway, so you'll be able to find all the loot that you could possibly want. Because she's a support legend though, it'd be good if she could take banners through the black market, you know, because like I said, she's a support legend. That's what she's considered as. So giving her that additional helpfulness to the team would be really good, and I think Loba has a lot of potential, and some of the best plays I've ever made on Apex have been as Loba, and that's why I think Loba is at the very top of B tier. Revenant is our next legend, and I think that he sits at the bottom of A tier. Revenant would have been S tier not long ago because him and Octane were the meta for both casual and ranked. Revenant would activate his death totem and Octane would put a jump pad down, and you would just get this free rush on players with absolutely zero consequence, since you wouldn't die, because when you death totem, which is his ultimate, it turns you into shadow form and it gives you death protection. It will deactivate your shield and it will just kind of like go off of your like raw health, and so players can kill you easy, but you can also get that free push on them. Once a player depletes your health, you don't go down when you're in shadow form, you actually just return to the totem and then you do it all again. You can't reuse the totem twice, but everyone on your team can use it. But this thing does run out, and so players could actually just stall and try and hold you off until it runs out and then just laser you. But regardless, this death totem is one of the best ultimates in Apex. He has a good tactical as well. It's called Silence. It essentially just shoots this ball of energy. If it hits a player or they run into it, then it'll just stop them from using their abilities, which is very simple on paper, but say you hit a Bloodhound or something, or a Wraith that could slip away or try to juke you, then it's pretty useful stuff there. And just for an added bonus, it does 10 damage when it hits them, which I think is really entertaining when it actually downs someone. Makes for a very humiliating time for them. He has a very good passive as well. He can climb way higher than any other legend in the game, and this can make for some terrifying flanks. Okay, you can climb a wall, and say if a player walks out the door, you can just jump off the wall, jump down, terrify them, and then kill them. And it's a fun little movement ability to play around with. Same with the fact that when he crouches, he's going the same speed as he would be when he's walking and stood up. For Revenant being so tall, it makes for a bit more flexibility in his kit. Next up is a very fun movement-based legend, and this is the robotic naughty boy Pathfinder. Pathfinder is going to be placed in the A tier. I think Pathfinder is lacking a passive, and that needs to be sorted because his passive is so bad. If he uses one of those scan towers that let you see the next zone, it reduces the cooldown on his ultimate, and that to me that just sucks so bad. There's got to be a solution that Respawn can think of, because right now he has been done dirty. But Pathfinder truly shines when he uses his tactical ability. He can use his grapple hook and essentially just swing around stuff, and this can be devastating because of how fast he actually goes when he's in the air. He can most definitely dodge bullets like it's something out of the Matrix. He can make good pushes and good escapes, as well as repositions with his ultimate, which is very useful because that lets the team get from point A to point B relatively safely. But his tactical is where he shines, and this is where there's such a skill gap with Pathfinder, and a really good Pathfinder is just genuinely terrifying to go against because they will zipline away. You'll be fighting them, they'll grapple hook up in the air, you'll look up and they will be gone, and then he'll just appear somewhere else and fall from the sky and just end your game. It's insane how good some Pathfinder players are, and if Pathfinder's kit is utilized right, he is just so good. Not quite S tier because he needs a better passive, and he is a bit chunky with his hitbox and very tall, but he is a really solid legend. Valkyrie is next on this list. She is an A tier easily. She always has been, and when she came out she didn't feel really overpowered, she didn't feel really underpowered. I think she's in a really good spot, and she can do pretty much everything Pathfinder can but better, or when it comes to repositioning at least. Her ultimate allows you to be able to fly through the air as though you've just gone on a jump tower, and you can scan enemies whilst you're flying, and that's a passive for her as well. And so you can make some really good pushes or escapes and know where enemies are if you either want to avoid them or engage with them. Valkyrie's passive allows her to use her jetpack to fly through the air, and whilst you can't shoot with it, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing because she can get instant high ground. It makes really good for escapes and chases as well, but the only problem is obviously the jetpack has to recharge and it can take a bit of time. It's not very quick, but if used right and the fuel is saved well enough, Valkyrie's jetpack can be such a big advantage when it comes to momentum. Try not to be predictable with your jetpack though, because you will get absolutely lasered by someone. They will be able to track your movement really easy, so be careful. And Valkyrie's tactical can be used in combination or separately with her passive jetpack, and that lets her fire these homing missiles where you put the area. It makes like a little square grid type of shape, and these can deal a bit of damage to enemies, and it can stun them if they're affected by it. You can easily just fly, use this thing, stun an enemy and do a bit of damage with them, and then whilst they're stunned, land in any direction you feel and take care of them pretty easily. And this is what I love about Valkyrie's kit. They all are just so good. Her passive is amazing, her tactical is really good, and her ult is also just so great. They all feel perfectly balanced for Valkyrie, and all of this stuff in unison makes her an above average legend. The Twitch TV streamers are going to get very mad at me for this one, but next we have Wraith, and she is A tier. Now Wraith back in her prime was easy S tier, and honestly I can understand arguments as to why she would be, but the problem is there's just so many other legends that are just so much better. It feels like the bar has been set a lot higher and is one of those legends that needs to be played right in order for her to be good. But just because she's in A tier, this doesn't mean she's bad at all. I just don't think she quite makes it to S with the way the meta is right now. Her Voidwalk tactical ability allows for very nice repositions, and it can just confuse the ever-loving hell out of enemies, especially when they start doing like circles and then like dashing around everywhere because there's only the little purple contrail line that you can see, and it's really funny. And Wraith has a lot of big brain plays like that, and so I have a lot of respect for Wraith mains and how they've mastered her. She's very small. She's the hardest legend to hit without a doubt in my mind, and unlike Pathfinder, her ultimate where she can put portals down allows very safe repositions because whilst you're in the portal you can't be damaged, whereas on Pathfinder's zipline you can be. Some of the best best plays I've seen from Wraiths are when they use the portals as traps and leave bait there. A classic example being you put the Wraith portal facing a wall, so when someone goes through, they'll be facing the wall, and you can just wipe them out before they can even turn around. And Wraiths bouncing between portals, it works really well, especially considering she's hard to hit. There's just a lot of good plays if you're creative enough with Wraith, so I understand why she is put on a pedestal as the ultimate Apex waifu. She's got a lot of good skills to play around with. Her passive is pretty useful because she can sense and gets told when there's other people aiming at her, which can be useful, but sometimes it happens a little bit too late. Overall, Wraith is a very good legend, way above average. I think she's one of the best legends in the game, and I love how small her hitbox is, so she can slip right under your nose and take you out. Bloodhound is our next legend. They are going straight into A tier near the top. Season 10 has been such a scan meta that it's ridiculous, because if you have a team of a Seer and a Bloodhound and then like a Bangalore to put smoke down, you are gonna be laughing. I think Bloodhound's abilities are just so good. The passive can be okay, where you can track people that have healed and like footsteps, but I don't really think anyone's gonna actively be going full detective mode, although you can do that and it does pay off sometimes. But the main meat and potatoes of Bloodhound is their tactical and ultimate. The tactical is a scan that you can do it on the move, you can do it anywhere you want. It only takes a very quick second and it scans a pretty wide area. It helps you and your team, and it's really good if you don't want to communicate with a mic. You can just scan, all of your team can see where they are, no words have to be said, and information legends like this that can get intel like that are some of the most valuable. And then once you've scanned them and you want to go for that aggressive push, use their ultimate, the Beast of the Hunt. It makes everything go black and white except for enemies, and it will highlight them in red. And you also have increased movement speed, so yeah, you can just destroy whole teams with this if you're good enough. And there really is nothing scarier than seeing a pred player Bloodhound with those beaming red glowing eyes that indicates they're using their ultimate sprinting up to you. It's a really useful ability and such a good ultimate, honestly one of the best in the game I think. And with how versatile and easy Bloodhound is to learn, I really think this makes them one of the best legends to pick up and use. Horizon is next, and she is most certainly an A tier legend. Everyone's favourite space mum has been buffed, so she's not totally like she was back in season 7 where she was just the best thing that ever happened to the game, but she is very, very powerful. She can go up her grav lift very fast, and it's easier to strafe in it as well. I really enjoy Horizon's grav lift because I like it for the same reason that I like Valkyrie's jetpack, and that is you get instant high ground on people. It's also really useful to just get to hard to reach places as well, and there's some great pushes that can be made from it too. Some big brain plays have came out of Horizon, and she's got a very good passive as well. It lets you have increased air mobility, so when you're in a fight, if you jump off of that grav lift, you are going to be zooming through the sky, and if you can hit your shots well, it's going to pay off big time. And also, as part of her passive, she doesn't get slowed down whenever she jumps from a big height. She can just keep running and she won't feel that impact like any other legend would, and this is great for escapes because there's nothing worse on Apex Legends than being slowed down or not being able to move. With Horizon, that problem is eliminated. She has a very solid ultimate as well. It's a black hole that she can throw, and it sucks enemies into it, and it also sucks grenades into it. So I don't think I need to explain this one. And when enemies are affected by it, it will highlight them as well. So if you and a team just get some nades and start tossing them into that black hole, especially if you throw this thing into a building, there'll be that many explosions and flashing lights, your victims won't even be able to tell what even just happened. As a Horizon main, I'm not trying to be biased here, but I really do think that some of the best Apex plays I've ever seen have came from Horizon, and she definitely does deserve to be in the A tier because she is one of the best legends. She's great. Our next legend here is going to be Octane. He is the top of A tier. He would have been S if this wasn't season 10, but he has suffered a nerf or two which has hindered him from being into S, and he's now just down to A, but A is really good, and Octane is one of the best legends regardless, you know, hence why he's in A tier. His jump pad had distance got nerfed, so he can't go as far, which honestly sucks, but he's still amazing for repositions nonetheless, and pushes if you're brave enough, because it's amazing just flying in with a team on Octane's jump pad and just rushing them and being really hyper aggressive. His passive is pretty good as well, although it did get nerfed. He doesn't regen as much health as he used to, but he still regenerates health nonetheless. That's a pretty good passive if you ask me. And his stim shots make him run super fast. He's a speedy boy. If he's not leaving you to be away from your team to just go and rush random players and try 1v3s, then he's going to be way too close to you, taking all of your loot. Octane stims do damage him as well though a little, and if you spam them too much you can go down from them, so you have to learn to pace them out and just use them when it's necessary really. But if you're about to get into a fight, just pop one of these and just go rush. That is the way to play Octane. Him and Revenant were one of the best combos going a while ago, but even since his nerf, I think that Octane's just so viable, and much like with Horizon here, some of the best plays you can watch have literally just came from Octane. I recommend going to watch some after this video. They are really insane, and I think Octane has a very high skill gap. He's good for casual players and he's pretty fun to use and they'll get something out of it, but also if you want to take Octane very serious, there is a very high skill ceiling, and if you achieve that level of godness, then Octane is going to be really useful. The next legend is the thickest boy in the Outlands. It's none other than Gibby. Gibraltar is still an S tier legend, and he only seems to be getting buffed more and more. He has took over Lifeline's role as a medic. He has faster heals in his domes, which is one of his tacticals by the way. He can throw a defensive dome down, and if you're inside it you can't get shot through it. So not only does he heal faster in it, but he can revive teammates faster in the dome as well. That is absolutely wild to me. I thought that would be a big no-no from Respawn, but they seem to really want to make Gibby more playable, but he's so broken it's unreal. He has a pretty good ultimate as well, where he can throw a defensive airstrike similar to Bangalore's, but it's not as spaced out and it will explode as soon as it hits the floor. And putting this alongside the dome, it just makes for this big defensive area. No one can really make good pushes until that's out of the way. Oh, and did I mention that Gibby's passive also gives him a shield that he can hold up so he can block incoming shots? Yeah, this guy is just so overpowered, to be honest. He's very broken, and it's one of those things where, okay, it was like funny for a season, but now people get really fed up when they see a Gibby. There's nothing wrong to play as Gibraltar, like I'm not saying there's anything bad about doing that, but he's very tough to go up against and it can be very frustrating, especially with how fast he can get his teammates up and just camp in his dome for a little bit. But there's no denying Gibby is an S tier legend because of just how many buffs he's had and just how good he is, and there's not even a big skill gap for him either. Anyone can pick up and play Gibby and perform pretty decently. Gibby's probably going to be S tier for a while. I don't think Respawn are going to do much about him anytime soon, and as of right now he is one of the elites in Apex Legends that you can pick and just win games with. Remember when I said that Gibby's shield can not be shot through, you know, his dome, his tactical dome? Well, it was like that for a while until our final legend on this tier list came along, Seer. Seer is in Season 10. He is new to Season 10. He's the newest legend in the game. He is the top of S tier as of right now, even with his nerfs. Seer is insane. Definitely a big part of the scan meta that's going on right now, and for good reason. Seer has a passive ability where he can use his heartbeat sensor whenever he aims, and this can literally just tell you where enemies are in a certain radius. He can know where enemies are with this passive just from that alone, but he can also use his tactical, which shoots these robotic drones out to seek enemies in a straight line, and this goes through walls. It will damage them a little bit, it will reveal their health and their location. Everyone says that it is wall hacks, and that's because it pretty much is. So once you've found them with the heartbeat, shoot the tactical at them, find where they are, and then if you want to keep an even more close eye on them, use his ultimate, and this ultimate lets you throw down this device and it makes a big dome, and in this certain area, if an enemy is in it, they will be tracked at all times until it's either destroyed or they leave that vicinity. It's safe to say if you get into a fight with a Seer, you are not going anywhere because they can constantly find you. And oh, just to, tell you a bit more about how overpowered he is, his tactical and ultimate cool down pretty fast for how good they actually are. So his tactical especially can get spammed a lot in fights. And when he uses his tactical, if it hits an enemy whilst they're reviving, it will cancel the revive, and it can also cancel healing. This guy, that's all I can say. This guy is so overpowered, and like I said, they even nerfed him a little and he's still just ridiculously good. And Seer can actually counter Gibby. He is the chosen one. His tactical can also shoot straight through his dome, and that will be able to cancel the revives that he's making, which is good that we have a counter for Gibby. But oh my god, he's just so overpowered. And so it used to be Bloodhound that was the top dog of scans, but not anymore. Seer has taken the crown as the best legend in the game, to be honest. Hopefully we'll see some changes to Seer soon because it's ridiculous right now, but we will have to wait and see. Here's the tier list. That is all the legends ranked. Tell me what you thought of that down below in the comments. I would love to hear your own tier lists, and if you want to see more Apex Legends content, let me know because I really enjoyed making this one. I just thought it would be good to branch out and just do, another fun game. But obviously, yeah, I'm still uploading COD Zombies. But anyways, guys, I'm gonna leave this video here today. If you enjoyed, be sure to smash the like button, comment your thoughts down below, and subscribe to the channel. You will not regret it. Turn on the notification bell too to stay notified whenever I upload a video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.